This is Healing Forward. I'm Barbara Pointe. Welcome to conversations that challenge, inspire, and transform you. From best-selling authors to real-life warriors, these are the voices that remind us our story isn't over. We are evolving. Healing is not a destination. It's a decision that we make every single day. So let's move forward together. 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. And welcome back to Healing Forward, where real conversations equal real transformations. Today, we are talking about something every woman should understand. What is happening at the cellular level when we're confronting everyday stress, aging, toxins, narcissists, all these things? What's happening at the cellular level? My guest today, Kevin J. David. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how are you, Barb? Thanks for having me.
Yes, well, you are an expert and so passionate about health and women's health and humans' health and men's health. But today we're talking especially to women because that's my audience. I'm so glad you're here.
Well, you know, I looked at your page that you invited me to, and I really want to applaud you for what you've started and for the group that you've got going. I think that it doesn't matter what the topic, what a person's passion is, when you can actually have real conversation and make those conversions in helping other people. I think that type of thing, it goes a long way, right? Where people are in alignment with one another, or there's a cultural fit, or whatever that might look like. So I want to congratulate you on your page and what you're doing with your podcast. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you so much. And when we've connected for a long time now, but I knew you were the perfect gentleman to come on and really help us unpack vitamins, nutrient, getting nutrient depletion. We're going to talk about glutathione today. Most people know about antioxidants, and Kevin's going to help us unpack all of that in a really fun way. So to start off with, Kevin, most of us still in 2026 are told that if we eat a balanced diet, we should still get all of our nutrients. But is that actually true?
Well, actually, that's the $90 million foot view question, right? I mean, are we getting what we're getting from food? There's been that fallacy for a long time where we understand, hey, if we eat right, we're gonna feel great. If we know something about food, like why do cultures, for example, in the Asian culture, why do Asians, for example, and I'm just going to kind of relate this to a food source as an example, but why do they do better? Why do they, in their main staple of food, be around rice, for example, where in the North American diet, right, if you would take a look at the food pyramid going back to the edge of time, right, years ago, we were told what to eat at the top, the vegetables and all of these types of things, and down and below is the protein. And in fact, protein was the very bottom end. We saw all the fish and all these things in that food pyramid, as an example, 30 years ago? And then it changed about 25 years ago, and then it slightly changed about 30 years ago, right? And then it went on and on and on and on to now where you actually have the food pyramid has been completely shifted upside down, as an example. And really, when you have protein at the top of the pyramid, as it's being shown now, and those carbs being down at the very bottom, right? There's a reason for that, right? So, yeah, and I mean, vitamins and minerals are the same way. It doesn't matter whether it's a supplement that you get from your health food store, or you get from a direct marketing company, or you've bought it off of a Amazon site, or whatever the case may be. How do you pick what those supplements are and what they look like for quality and for delivery? And that's really the key. That's the whole point around why we supplement in the first place, because what we get from our food today, there is very little nutritional value, right? very little nutritional value from the food that we get today. And that's why we have to supplement. It's not a, well, what if I should, or, maybe I should. No, it's actually, you should, because we know that we see food processing. We know that everything in like, what do they say? Everything you buy in the outside aisle of the grocery store is probably healthier than you'll find in any aisle, right?
Right.
With the exception of, say, for example, frozen vegetables or frozen beans or frozen carrots or frozen, where they're flash frozen during the processing. So there's going to be more, think about that, right? I mean, they say, well, is my banana ripe? Is my banana ripe and is it yellow? Well, to transport that banana, right, where you have calcium and so on, and lots of calories, they're high glycemic. The further that banana gets yellow, well, what do you think they're sprayed with from the picking spot through the processing to our food warehouses and cold rooms across the country, around the world? I mean, there are lots of chemicals that go into, keeping product or keeping our vegetables, say, fresh or color proof. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. And actually, even the soils, the earth that the food is grown in, those soils are also very depleted. And
Yeah.
even though, I think we're trying to get by day to day and do the best we can, but that's why I thought this was an important conversation, because really we have to supplement.
Yeah. And everybody's a little bit different, Barb. I mean, you might have a person that lives in Germany, for example. They eat a specific way. They, for example, whether it be fish or whether it be cheese, well, they're getting protein, right, both in cheese and their fish. And why do they eat? Why are people, say, for example, from Holland? Why do they have that? It's a main staple. And the weird thing is that their meals are almost rotated as well. They're eating more often through the day, larger meals in the morning versus what you would call the North American pattern, or our staple time, which would be dinner, right? I mean, just take a look at how that works as well, and how your body can change from that. But yeah, I mean, we hear a lot about, vitamins and minerals and, what's going on at a cellular level and stuff like that. And, we run low as we age. We are running low in good oxidative stress beaters. And what I mean by that is that, unfortunately, from stress, and it doesn't matter whether it's work stress, personal relationship stress, it doesn't matter whether, something's bothering you at work or something's bothering you at the gym, or whatever the case may be. Stress is a key factor in oxidative stress as well. And that's really the basis of what I think most people should really be thinking about and taking care of themselves, and not just worried about their partner. There are a lot of partners you can't fix. There are a lot of partners that you can't tell anything to, which is another topic altogether. However, when we look for self-managing, and we look for I call it self-management, behavioral training, if you may. What is it? What are those foods? What are those supplements that I'm actually taking on a daily basis that will help combat oxidative stress? And the reason being is that the more oxidative stress we have in our body, this is the reason we take vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. The more oxidative stress that we have in our body, guess what happens? We have issues around hormonal changes. We have issues around inflammation. In every single autoimmune disorder disease today, known to all mankind, the one major play is oxidative stress. And that's where we'll get symptoms until we're diagnosed with a situation where we realize, okay, well, we could have actually alleviated high blood pressure by doing these things in our younger years, but it's not too late to start, right? Well, I'd rather be on a natural supplement. I'd rather be on something that I know that harnesses that oxidative stress, something that decreases inflammation, right? And the right nutrition actually does that.
Because Kevin, wouldn't you agree that most people generally are thinking, I need to take a good, clean vitamin C, an excellent vitamin B complex, and some others, but is that really enough? And what happens when we get depleted in these vitamins? Because some of us aren't even taking the basics. Um, how does it impact our health? You've mentioned my group a few times, and yes, we're 10,000 women strong, but when we can confront, like the women in my group, this stress on a day, emotional stress, it actually depletes us physically, and if body, mind, soul. So if we're not strong physically, it's very hard to be strong mentally. It's very strong then to be strong emotionally. So I feel that everything's very connected. I do take the basics like vitamin C, B complex makes a big difference for me with my stress. I think most people agree you need to take the basics, but what more do we need to be doing to help ourselves at the cellular level? And
Yeah.
is it enough to just do that?
Well, it's enough if you don't have any other choice, right? One of the big factors, right? It's a big factor in mental stress. So what is your choice? Either you get rid of that mental stress that you have, right? And bury it. Chances are you'll come back to it down the line, because even though you think you've buried that stress, it'll come back and stress you out. It'll live in the back of your head. It'll live in your body. It'll live in your energy. It'll live in all parts of your mental, well-being, which is not good. And that in turn creates other things. But, when we look at, I'll just talk really quick, about, maybe into women's health, hormones, whether it be a woman's going through perimenopause or premenopause, postmenopause, these types of things. The nutrients that are required nowadays, in my opinion, are all functional around the body's master antioxidant. And that's really the main one. That's what's affected on every single level, right? So, for example, some people have heard this, some people haven't, possibly. In fact, the two biggest things searched today, according to ChatGPT and a number of the other focus areas to get your so-called information nowadays, it's supposed to make us smarter. It's making us lazier when you think about it. I dislike, I try never to use the word hate, but I dislike using technology so much that, yes, it's a convenient spot to go and grab something, right? Information wise. But how do you know in fact that that's true? But one thing I do know, there are two major topics today in wellness and in health. Number one, they're saying peptides. Peptides is a big buzzword, right? Why are peptides a big buzzword? Because they've got peptide stacks on everything from sleep challenges to antioxidant support to weight loss to weight management to hormone support. I mean, I just can't imagine. I'm needle phobic to begin with. I would never make a good drug dealer or a good drug user at all, because I just get freaked right out on needles.
I did not know that about you.
Right? So, so peptides is last month was number one in North America as a whole, right? The education around peptides and these types of things and what they do, chemical conversions at the cellular level, and what that's doing, for example, with regulating hormones or say blood glucose or something like this, right? So you can actually get a great peptide stack, right? And lose weight and feel great. The problem is it's very hard to get off of that kind of stuff. Really hard, because if you think, I understand how addicts can become so reliant on their drug of choice. Well, when somebody starts losing weight at a rate that they can lose weight using peptides, right, there would be reason to stay on that product until you got to your healthy weight. But you can't just come off of that stuff, right? There's a process on getting off, and that in itself, right? Those chemicals, they're not driven to be a natural way to delivering amino acids, as an example, right? Or tripeptides in say glutathione. Glutathione is a tripeptide, and the brilliance behind that is one thing, but the side effects are another thing. Ozempic, I'm using Ozempic as an example here. Okay,
That's a good example, because that's really in the current culture. We all see what the stars are doing with it.
110%. Well, I mean, have you ever read the side effects of Ozempic? As a prime example, you can go blind. There's a whole bunch of things that affect hormones on a not so good way. Decreasing bone density. You get that Ozempic look in your face. And then, well, what about your bone density? As women age, right? As women age and they're into post-menopause, post-menopause, their bodies are changing. And I use that only as an example because it just blows me away that I can watch a hockey game at night and see three different peptide commercials, all promoting something else. And the very most important one that one can ever align themselves with is the second most searched supplement or search today on ChatGPT, and that's glutathione.
Okay, so Kevin, you've mentioned glutathione a couple of times now, and then you also mentioned antioxidants. I just want to connect the dots. Are you saying that glutathione is a master antioxidant in our bodies?
Glutathione is referred to as the body's master antioxidant. Yes, that's 100% dead on.
Okay, and let's break it down, because some of these words, we hear them, but we don't really feel like we concretely know what they are, like peptides. But glutathione, what exactly is that for our listeners to really understand?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, glutathione has been with us since life. Glutathione is in every living plant, it's in every living animal, it's in every living human being. We manufacture it through the whole God-given plan of living, through birth, through growing up. And glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. So, for example, it is what controls every energy and chemical conversion at the cellular level. So when we have oxidative stress, glutathione is what is being used inside the cell. Glutathione is in every cell of the body. And it has some specific, there are some specific parts of glutathione that are really easy to kind of capitulate, if you want to call it that. One is immune system. Like I often refer to it as IDEA, right? Immune system reinforcement, right? Where our immune system is dependent on glutathione or GSH, okay, for proper function, particularly in the creation and maintenance of white blood cells, right? We all know, right? And white blood cells are our first defense against infections and disease. So when we have low glutathione, it's safe to say, right, from the age of 30 on up, and I've heard many doctors and several scientists now that I've been in different lectures with, just, say, from 30 on up, or from 40 on up, at 50, you should have this. Well, I believe at that point, they're already looking at where disease is actually starting to affect our daily lives, right? So it doesn't matter at what age you are. It's important that we are having a good, strong, supply of glutathione. Because when we don't, we have an inflammatory issue. You can guarantee it. It's in every single one. Lack of glutathione, inflammatory response. You have inflammation at some level, right?
And inflammation is when disease can really take root in our body. Is that correct?
Well, that's when we're recognizing, that we have a problem. It's just not, why do I have a sore knee? Well, my knee's inflamed. Okay, well, why is your knee inflamed? So instead of looking, I've said this many times actually, instead of treating the symptom, why not treat the cause? Why not identify what the cause is? Well, the common root cause, if you go and do a search, if our bodies have low glutathione, what type of responses do you think we would have? Like I'm talking, it is off the chart. Hundreds and hundreds. Glutathione plays over 400 functions at the cellular level. And imagine that, right? From vagus nerve to hormonal to it has everything to do with everything. Without it, you have inflammation, right? So in fact, it's not just you start noticing it at 20 or 30. Yeah, you're going to notice it more at 40 or 50 or 59, like myself, as an example, because as we get older, we get sore, right? In some cases, we get stiff. Like I'm not a gym rat, right? I'm fit, but I'm not a gym rat. Now, I can go out and cut the lawn. Well, I know that I have, I've got some inflammation. If I've pulled muscles, I've got some inflammation. What is the best way to reduce inflammation? Increase glutathione. Problem is, how do you pick it? What's the process of even picking it, right?
So Kevin, I just have to slow this down just a little bit. Is it kind of like our body's a car and glutathione is like the engine of our car?
Yeah, it's a great way to position that. If you have a BMW as an example, it says right on the gas thing, premium fuel only.
I love that metaphor. Yes, we are BMWs, we are Porsches, and we deserve the best. So glutathione, okay, bring it on.
Yeah. So, under that hood of the car, if you go and put in regular fuel, let's just say standard diet, and you that standard diet or that standard fuel in that BMW, there's going to be some problems. There's going to be some problems with injectors. There's going to be overall problems with power. There's going to be all of these types of things. And what you're putting into your body is like what you put into that BMW. And that's why they say oil change every 5,000 K, premium fuel, right? I mean, it's kind of bizarre. I mean, you read a manual in a car today, you can't figure out what it is. You practically need to go and do a YouTube search in order to find out where, in fact, the air filter is in your car. Where is the cab filter in your car, right? It's kind of like searching for the right supplement. It's like searching for the right glutathione supplement, right? So my experience in glutathione supplement actually goes back to 1998. And, I look at where the industry has come and where we are standing now. Glutathione could be delivered through precursors, which is the primary way that glutathione has been delivered for a long time now, as a supplement, as an example. There are very few supplements that are glutathione precursors that can actually pass through the gut without being destroyed, okay? Pills and stuff like this, like there's a whey protein dietary supplement that's a glutathione precursor. Proven, factual, it can get past the glutathione itself. Those precursors can build a structure around glutathione naturally. Perfect science, right? Tons of clinical data. The challenge is that ramping up and bringing glutathione and getting it to the cell sometimes can be costly, number one. And number two, not just being costly, where are we really seeing? Where are those changes taking place? Are those changes in how we feel taking place on a slow basis? And do we just trust that we're feeling better? Or are we recognizing that we're feeling better? Are we recognizing that we don't have as much inflammation? Are we recognizing that we're not as tired? Are we recognizing that stress hasn't been affecting our daily, schedule as such? So, it's, and one of the terms in glutathione also that's out there is a liposomal glutathione, right? And the liposomal glutathione is a fat molecule or glutathione molecule that is wrapped or surrounded in fat lipids, right? That's another way in the delivery. It's not 100%. 100%, it's not 100% going to get to the cell, 100%, not to the inside of the cell. So science has evolved. There's an 8-year-old delivery system was developed about 8 years ago in hydrostat, and it's the most effective way in getting nutrients to the body period, because what that technology has been able to do is actually, with water clusters and vibration of the water and energy in the water actually being ultra purified, by putting glutathione in an ultra purified water molecule, that delivery system doesn't go through the gut. It doesn't go through the esophagus, which a precursor does in both liposomal and any other precursor type of thing. And studies have shown, and most recently studies have shown, that glutathione can reach to the center of the cell within 30 seconds and 70 seconds to every organ of the body. That's a very strong statement. It's a very strong claim, if you might want to call it that. And I want to say that, it takes time. Science has evolved. I mean, yes, I knew about glutathione back in 1998, right? As a supplement, as a precursor. Studied in it, thought through it, presented on it. That's one thing. But imagine, what if there was a way that we didn't have to have a precursor? What if we could actually get that, food grade glutathione, right? That is like a pharmaceutical quality to its max into the cell and address cellular destruction, right? Which is what's happening with oxidative stress, that can help support the body's natural ability to doing what it's supposed to do with glutathione. And I know that we're time limited on your show today, but just understand that glutathione see it as this: it's the body's chief detoxifier. Really super simple. Everybody needs it. If there was going to be a supplement that I would take, and I only had one choice, it would be glutathione. Why? Because I could even get some nutritional value and fiber and so on and so forth from food. I can get iron from meat. I can get, whether it be steak, whether it be liver, whatever it might be, right? But the other thing is, in the abbreviation under IDEA, glutathione is also an energizer, right? And each and every cell in the body have these energy components, these energy and chemical conversions, pardon me. And it's important that our body is functioning like that BMW, and that function is got to be clean. It's got to be clean fuel. So our body needs that glutathione. It just needs to happen. We can talk about that on another show as well, kind of expand on that. And I think it would be probably a good idea if, for your listeners to all know, they can always obviously get a hold of you. And I mean, that's one thing. I'm kind of putting together a computer program right now, a funnel, and I'm not used to working with funnels, just as an example, but, click on my name and, up is going to come information. People need to get a hold of you. They need to make contact with you. And for, I do free consultation, half an hour free consultations all the time, whether it be through Zoom or telephone call or interconference call, what have you, globally. I operate in 74 different countries, and I'm excited to help other people. And there's a component, yes, of course, there's a component. When you're in business for yourself, there's a component to making money, right? And in a lot of cases, people get they'll walk into a health food store and they'll buy whatever the health food person is saying off the shelf, right? But they don't know whether it's good or bad, what's good or bad for them. And they put their trust in that person. We don't have a problem with the health food store making money because it allows them to stay in business. Where I'm segueing to is that many of the things that people are stressed about today, they don't make enough money. So there's a component to what I do that will allow a person to make, an amount of money, even just by using the product or getting a discount, this type of thing. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions in closing or what your thoughts are.
I mean, everything you said resonated so much, because that's why I wanted to have this conversation, is so that we can actually give our listeners the tools step into greater energy, greater health, greater vitality, and the wellness that we all crave and deserve. I've been buying supplements from vitamin stores for years, Kevin, and I know that a lot of them have just ended up in the garbage. After a while, I just get tired of swallowing them, and I don't take them. I've done it for like the last 25 years. And I don't think that's an uncommon story. It's our money kind of goes down the drain, so to speak. And also, I think we get overwhelmed when we go into a supplement store of what to buy. Does this supplement work well with this supplement? Do I need another supplement? And also, it adds up. It's expensive. So to take something that is a high quality solution, like the glutathione products that you're so passionate about, is an amazing opportunity. So I will have everything in the show notes, but how can people reach out to you, Kevin?
Well, they can reach out by sending you a message, and we'll be open in conversation. We can be open in conversation because we want to be transparent, right? And that's important because your friends are your friends are your friends. And in order for your friends to trust in me, it's a good thing to segue so we have a group conversation, right? And if that person wants to have conversation independently, that's great, right? But that way people identify that this is just not, an education thing. It's, you said it earlier, where real conversations, right? Where you can have those real conversations. I think it starts out in building relationships. I think it starts out in having trust and having vision and having the right mindset. And I think it's very easy for your listeners to communicate with you. And then it's just a matter of going to my calendar, pushing a button, booking a time in, and rock and roll from there.
Yeah, I know Kevin and I would love to speak with anyone curious about this and maybe wanting to get a little bit more information. And let's be honest, you'd be in excellent hands with Kevin and myself. Together, we can figure it out and move forward. Kevin, I know you're going to come back. We're going to do a series of these talks on health, and it's been amazing to have you here. Thank you.
Barb, you're doing an amazing job. Thank you for your time this morning, and I look forward to our next meetup.
All right, 10 for Rubber Ducky. I'm out. Barbara the Pointe, Healing Forward, and thank you for being here with us.
Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in moments like these. Wherever you are in your personal journey, honor it. If this episode meant something to you, share it, leave us a review, and stay connected for more conversations that move us forward. Until next time, I'm Barbara Lapointe, and remember, keep healing forward.